Hello, YouTube world. Guten Morgen, wie geht's? My name is Monica Leana, and you're with Books and Beauty, where I talk about books while doing my makeup. I have my makeup on, yes, but we're gonna make this really short, so I figured we could just do it as like a little mini thing, a little mini review. Bear with me. So we're gonna talk about If You Disappear by Eliza Brazler. This book was a trip. First thing I'm gonna say is, if you came for a podcast because you heard it in the synopsis about a podcast and you think it's gonna be about like Sadie or The Night Swim, and you're like, yes, more podcast content, you're going to be highly disappointed. This is not a podcast. There is a person that did a podcast that the main character keeps referring to, but there is no element of her podcast in this book. So if you came for the podcast, you might want to skip, because it's nothing to do with the podcast other than she's fascinated with this woman that did a podcast. So let's go on to what actually happens. So this lady comes in. She is a super fan, super stalker, creepy fan. I'm going to say it really creeped me out because this woman really thinks that she is her friend. She is offended throughout the book because she finds out stuff about her that she thought she knew, and then apparently she didn't know, and she like got really offended, like, you lied to me. She's literally talking in her head, and she's just like, you lied to me. Like, you lied to me. I thought I knew you. And it's just like, how would you think that you know her? You knew her from a podcast that she talks about true crime, and yes, she talks a little bit about her life, but it's like, you still don't know her. This is some scary stuff. This is that parasocial relationship that everybody talks about, how people become too big of a fan and really think that they're like friends and that they love each other. And I was so creeped out just because this book, she is really just gun-ho of like, I am the person that's going to save her, and we're going to be best friends. And spoiler, she sleeps with somebody, and the reason she sleeps with him is because she thinks that this girl had slept with him, and she's like, now we slept with the same person. And it's just like, like, lady, I'm gonna need you to calm the hell down. Like, seriously, calm down. So let's get into what actually happens in this book. This lady has a parasocial relationship with this woman that does a podcast. Podcast lady disappears. So she comes to the conclusion of like, I'm going to go to this ranch and either find her body or find her, because she thinks that like she either died or she's like locked up somewhere, because she does like true crime stuff, and she keeps talking about how her parents are kind of weird people and they don't get along. So she's just like, I am going to figure this, this mystery out. And it is weird because she goes to this farm. It's like a cattle farm, and like her parents are absolutely creepy and annoying. The dad is so annoying. Like, it's one of those people that like, when you're like, can I ask you a question? And they're like, you already did. It's just like, I hate those people. I hate them. It's like, stop. You think you're cute and you're not. So that's the dad. The mom is super creepy. Like, she doesn't want her to go nowhere, even though it's like she's a grown woman, she's an employee. But yet anytime she's like, I want to go into town, she's like, why? Like, we have everything here. And she's like, well, I need to go get like pads. And she's like, I'll get you some pads. Like, she don't let her go nowhere, which is like, that's creepy. And then she keeps trying to be like, hey, this, like, she's disappeared and stuff like that, because she tries to ask about the daughter and acts like she doesn't know the daughter, but she's like, oh, she's disappeared. And it's like, well, have you gone to the police? And they're like, no, she disappears all the time. It's not a big deal. And she keeps trying to like go around the ranch, the house. She's trying to find out clues that are not really. She's very paranoid, like constantly. She's constantly thinking that everybody has something to do with something. She'll be like, okay, this person is good. And then be like, but did you do it? Like, but no, you couldn't have done it. But did you? It's like, it's so paranoid. She's constantly paranoid. She's constantly keeping this girl at a pedestal. Like, she starts to find out some stuff about her, and she's just like, no, she would never. No. Like, we're best friends. I know her better. Like, she's literally thinking this. She's like, you don't know her. I know her. Even though that's like her brother. And she's just like, you don't know her like I know her. And it's just like, girl, I'm gonna need you to calm down. Like, she scared me the most. Out of everybody, she scared me the most. I was like, did she kill her? The whole entire time, I'm just like, maybe she killed her and she doesn't remember that she killed her. Because I'm like, lady, you're off your meds. Like, calm down. Like, you're freaking out about this girl that you have no clue. And everybody's even like, yo, you don't even know her. Like, she wasn't who she, made out to be in the podcast. Like, she was weird. She did things. And it was just like, no, she didn't do it. And it's like, okay, girl, believe what you want to believe. And you find out information that then there's a few things I didn't like about this book. Like, there was a point where there was a message in the book about man hating, and I didn't like it because, like, are there men that belittle women? 100%. I felt it myself. Like, I felt it. So it's like, yes, there are men that kind of do look at girls as like they're cute things, but other than that, don't pay no mind and stuff like that. And I'm like, but she did it so much. Like, everybody was like a woman hater. Like, she kept having this dialogue of like, well, you don't know what it's like to be a girl and stuff. And I'm like, you're making this into a gender thing when some of it is like, it's probably not. And just the man hating of like, the police officer kept saying like the podcast lady, she was a man hater. She hated men, but then wouldn't even give any reason. And it was just like, it was a weird theme of like man hating and like stuff like that. And like, oh, you don't know how it feels to be a woman. And it was kind of like, why is this a gender thing? Like, I don't feel like that's part of it and stuff like that. So it was, I don't know. I didn't like that. I mean, granted, I don't think it hurt the story. It was just more of a like, why are we turning this into a gender thing? I felt like there was like a political point to that, and it was like, why? So yeah, there was just that. But I'm like, it was good. It was just, it wasn't what I was expecting it to be. I'm gonna give this like a 3.7 because I'm like, I did enjoy it. I had a good time, but one, there was no podcast, which I feel like is the biggest letdown, because I feel like so many people wanted to read this book because of the podcast part. And it's like, there is no podcast. There is a podcast lady, but you don't listen to none of it. I was like, and then two is like the creepiness of the parasocial relationship. Like, I don't know if the author really intended her to be that creepy, but I was creeped out because I'm like, she was just doing stuff and thinking stuff that was like, lady, you don't know her. Like, stop. And then like the parents were creepy. Everybody was sus. And then the ending was I don't know how I feel about the ending, because do I think that it was like decent? Yes, I do think it was a decent ending, but I don't like the reason of it. Like, it was such a, like I said, why is this a gender thing? Like, why is this like a man hating or a woman hating type of book when I feel like it wasn't needed? So I'm not gonna give this like, definitely not a 5, because I feel like there was a few things that were like, no, but it was just the fact of like, why is this turning into like a gender hating situation? Because that's kind of what it turns into. Like, it turns into, I hate men or I hate women and this is why I hate them. And it's like, it should just be the person. It doesn't matter what the fuck gender they are. But like, that was the core of this book, was the gender hate, which is like, okay, wasn't seeing that coming, and I don't know if it was necessarily needed. But so yeah, that's my little review. I know it's a little, quick and out of nowhere, but I just consumed this and I felt the need to talk about it. Well, have a good day. Bye.